Hey there, it's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
You're watching YouTube Live or Facebook Live. You'll see on the screen there Dr. Benny Tate. We talked to the good pastor a few months back, and what a conversation we had. It was awesome. We wanted to talk about a new book that's coming out November 7th. It's Defy the Odds, How God Can Use Your Past to Shape Your Future. Pastor, how are you?
I am doing great, Rick. I'm honored to be with you today. Brittany,
I think the last time we talked to you had a huge event that was going on. I think it was a men's event, if I'm not mistaken. And you were telling us about a book that was coming out. And I said, we got to get him back so we can talk about this book. It's a special release. We'll tell you how you can get it early. November 7th is when it's going to be released. Roma Downey, there's a quote from her. She says, a wonderful picture of how God can use any person regardless of their past. Love that. Tell us about the book and why did you release it now, or why are you getting ready to release it?
Well, we're releasing it, as we said, November the 7th. And I just believe that we're living in a day that people desperately need encouragement. People desperately need hope. And I am convinced that everybody out there has some odds that they need to defy. This is just about my life. And Brittany did a great job. Brittany McNeely did a great job writing the book. And it's just simply how an ordinary life defied the odds and how people can defy the odds in their lives also.
Pastor, how often, as a pastor, when you talk to folks, do you see people that are in the mind frame of, well, I'm just not good for anything because if you knew what I did in my past, boy, you would know that God could never use me. How often do you see that?
Oh, I see that over and over. People are captive to their past, and people many times just simply can't get past it, and they believe they're of no value. And what I want people to know, no matter what your situation is, I grew up very dysfunctional. It was a very dysfunctional home. Never groomed to be a pastor, be a preacher. But I'm just convinced that just as my life defied the odds, people can defy the odds. And God has a wonderful plan for people's lives.
We're talking to Pastor Benny Tate. We're talking about his book. It's called Defy the Odds. Brittany, you had a part in this, putting this all together. And we can't wait to see the book and read the book. What is your favorite part, you think? Well, there it is. Look at that. He's got it right there. Defy the Odds. Foreword by Pastor Jensen Franklin. And but tell us your favorite part in putting this together.
Well, I have actually known Pastor Benny for 20 years. He's been my pastor. I've grown up right here at Rock Springs Church. And so many of these stories I've heard before, but to sit down with him and hear them in chronological order and see how at every point in his life, God showed up and he really defied the odds at crucial points in his life. And you get to see it all connected in a timeline. And I think it creates a beautiful story of how faithful God is.
Share a story with us or two that we might find in the book that can really give somebody hope for, gosh, even though I've struggled with this in my past, God can use me.
You know, there's just stories after stories. You know, one simple story in the book is I was raised by a stepfather who told me I was an illegitimate child and I was ignorant and I would never amount to anything in life. And I grew up in that kind of environment with physical, mental, verbal abuse. And so basically I lived my life growing up believing that I could never accomplish anything. And that went on for many years of my life. And when I became a teenager, my mother remarried a man. And his name was Mason. And he believed in me. And he told me that you can do anything you want to do. And you know what? Death and life's in the power of the tongue. I had two stepfathers. One told me I was an ignorant, illegitimate child and never would amount to anything. The other one told me that I could be anything and God wanted to use my life in a great way. So, you know, here I was in elementary school struggling, and then I go to Bible college and I excel. And I believe it's traced back to a stepfather, one who believed in me, one who didn't believe in me. And just as that stepfather believed in me, Dan and Rick, I think this book says, I believe in you. This book says you can defy the odds. This is what I know even about you, Rick, and I know this about Dan. I know this about every person. We all have odds that we need to defy. Mm-hmm. Some of us are never able to talk about them. But I just believe in the day in which we're living, this book is so relevant to people because people desperately need encouragement.
Mm-hmm. Pastor Benny Tate talking about a book. It's coming out in November 7th. It's Defy the Odds, How God Can Use Your Past to Shape Your Future. So the tipping point was for you, a stepfather that believed in you. And I'm sure that was a process. Didn't happen overnight, but boy, howdy, look at your life now.
Well, I think just the fact that I knew he loved me. He was a stepfather. He was firm too, but I knew he loved me. And people need somebody to believe in them. People need hope. People need to know they can defy the odds. I'm sitting in a church right now. We're in Milner, Georgia. The population is 600 people. And literally we have over 8,000 members. Wow. I want every preacher who reads the book that says, hey, I can defy the odds in my ministry. Somebody says the secret to business success, church success is location, location, location. I got a great word for that. Baloney. You see what I'm talking about? God, hey, it's not just the place. It's all about grace. And God can do it anywhere. You can defy the odds. And that's just the message I just want to pound to people.
And the story of what you went through, boy, what a beautiful picture of the gospel, because isn't that Satan who will whisper in our ears, you are not good enough, you're terrible, you'll never amount to anything. But then the Father comes along and says, no, I love you and you have infinite worth and you can defy the odds and you can do awesome things because of me.
Dan, I grew up dysfunctional and, a lot of the book, my biological father was, I didn't meet him till I was 30 years old. We spent time in prison. I went back home to Tennessee to preach. And I preached there in one of the churches. And one night after preaching, the Superior Court Judge, Nelson Lane, came to hear me that night. And I was standing at the door and he looked at me and he said, Benny, knowing the dysfunctional home I was raised up in, he said, I always thought you would stand before me, but I never thought it would be in a pulpit.
Wow.
And I believe Abraham Lincoln said, God must have loved common people because he made so many of them. While I hold the book today, Rick and Dan, for the academic, for the apologist, this is not the book for you. But for the person out there that needs encouragement, for the person out there that needs hope. And I'll tell you, Dan and Rick, how we know if they need encouragement. Here's the test. They need encouragement if they're breathing.
Yeah.
Okay, I passed that test. So
well, and I want to encourage you today, Dan, and I want to encourage Rick because we can defy the odds. God's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think. And it's so wonderful to know that we can.
Hey, thanks for writing that book for common folks like talk show hosts like us. We need it as simple as we can get it. What a great book, Defy the Odds, How God Can Use Your Past to Shape Your Future. You can go to dtobook.com. It's releasing November 7. It's going to be everywhere, but if you'll go there, you'll actually get it early. November 7 is the date it's going to be released. Pastor, what's next for you? I mean, besides launching the book and seeing it just touch so many lives, what's next for you there?
Well, our church, we've got so many things going on right now. We're building a massive recreational complex. I mean, we built phase 1 of our recreational complex, and we're in phase 2 of it here, just trying to provide something for the community: softball, baseball, tennis, pickleball, cross country, you name it, just something for our community. But I'm believing that this book is just going to be the first of many I appreciate Harvest House Publishing, and we believe we're going to do many more on how you can defy the odds in your family, how you can defy the odds in your emotions, how you can defy the odds. Just the end. It's the list is endless. But hey, I can't thank you enough. For your help. I was listening to Max Lucado this morning, and he said that guy has sold over 150 million books.
Wow.
150 million books. And he said the first book that he wrote, he sent it to 15 publishers, and 14 publishers turned it down.
Wow.
So, hey, but certainly he's defied the odds.
Yes, he has.
And we believe this book is just going to help people defy the odds. Here's the gist of the book, man. It's how my life defied the odds, how our church defied the odds, how people in our church defied the odds, but more importantly, how you can defy the odds. And it's principles. If you take these principles, with these principles, you can defy the odds. By the time a child reaches 18 years of age, it's told 148,000 times you can't. By the time they reach 18, 148,000 times you can't.
Wow.
This book simply says you can. You can. And we want to help people by saying you can defy your odds.
That's
so
refreshing
good
to hear. Yeah.
Pastor Benny Tate, the book out November 7. Pick it up. Defy the Odds, How God Can Use Your Past to Shape Your Future. Go to dtobook.com. Pastor, it's a pleasure to talk to you. We'd love to talk to you after the first of the year. Brittany, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
And
you.
we got to take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.